Hello, welcome back to my channel, Checks Captures Threads. Today's video is episode 90 of the chess guide, and it's going to be how to use open diagonals. So, again, as per usual, I like starting from literally the beginning of the game, as that's where you kind of get most of, these sort of pieces. Like, obviously, to do with diagonals, we're going to be mostly talking about bishops here. Might talk about a queen here and there, but obviously those are the only two pieces that can really do stuff diagonally. So, realistically, I'm not going to be showing you anything to do with the rooks or the knights, so having a position like this, I can show you the core fundamentals of how we can use the open diagonals here from the start of the game, so you can use that straight away, and you can also implement it later on into your middle game and endgame. So, well, firstly, what are is quickly just an open diagonal. So if we were to play the move e4 here, this is an open diagonal here, as there is no pawns blocking it. The only square we cannot physically go to, really, I would say, is this square, obviously because it's defended by a pawn. But if it's a closed diagonal, what I would be saying here is if I just play a few moves as like this, as you can see, this is now closed. As you can see, there's 3 pawns in the way of this diagonal. Now, I'm going to show you why that could be good, why it could be bad, and maybe why it's okay and not so okay. So, let's just play a few moves, and I'm going to show you how an open diagonal can be very useful. So, if we go through just standard moves like this, as you can tell, we can play a normal, Italian game here. Straight away, you can see the knights can come out easily, but so can the bishops. Now, the bishops are always one of the best pieces, especially if they're open like this at the start of a game. And now the reason they're open here is, and why it's good, is because there's so many moves we can do. We could go defensive. We could go, maybe try and protect a pawn, for example. It may not be the best, but it's still something. We could play bishop c4, one of the most probably played games, obviously, the Italian game. And then we could also have the Roy Lopez. So there's so many here we can do, and they're all fantastic, really. I would say these two especially show, why this is played so much. I mean, if we look at this, this gives us more open diagonals. So the closer this is to the center, the more squares you can go to. So obviously here we only have this diagonal, maybe this part. If we was in the corner here, we'd only have this diagonal going from h1 to a8. But if we was in the middle here, we get all of these diagonals here, and we're obviously looking in a much better idea for this bishop than if I was in the corner over here. But again, as you can see, now this is where you can attack squares that might be making it a little bit more of a closed diagonal, but we're able to put a lot of pressure on it now because we've opened up this bishop into a nice position. Again, same thing with this. We're using now this open diagonal to attack a piece and also pin it. Obviously, it's not really exactly a pin, but in the Roy Lopez, sometimes this might happen, and we already get this, and now we're causing a huge attack. So, also, as I went through just previously, Frenchettering. Now, Frenchettering is actually not the worst to actually have an open bishop. Now, I did show you in that scenario here how this can happen. I'll be very surprised if this does technically happen, having this position like this, as I would say, and white is still winning, as you can just play moves like this, and soon it'll just open up the position very easily. So, realistically, you're looking at probably playing the moves like, I don't know, I'm just going to make a suggestion here that sometimes this could be ideas that might be played, and now we get this position here, where we're now attacking a pawn in the middle. Now, you could say this is a closed diagonal because of this, but closed diagonals are not always the worst. It just depends what's blocking it. So, if your own pawns are blocking it, that's good and bad, because obviously it's bad because we want to get them out of the way. Good thing is we are the people that can get that way. Whereas, obviously, if they're blocking it, we can't just get them to move unless we make an attack. So as we do here, we're putting 2 pieces on this. So again, they could play f6 here. But again, it's still going to be bad as we can still put pressure. Now with d4, see, we're causing the attacks here with this bishop. Now we've got the queen involved. And now obviously this is going to put them at a huge loss here, as now they're losing their king side because of this bishop. So though it's a closed diagonal, it can still act as a very strong piece and can very much cause a lot of trouble in the future. Now, I'd also like to go over the queen being a diagonal. So obviously, we've got to play the queen's gambit here, just to show you how easy it is to get a very nice queen and bishop from this. So let's just select a few moves here, as you would normally have in this Queen's Gambit. All very natural moves here from us. So let's just say we're in this position and they get this knight move. As white in this scenario, we now have a queen and a bishop. Now you could say that this is technically closed because of the bishop, but this is where we work as a battery and have this whole diagonal to ourselves. And this is where obviously you can technically win a pawn here with this, and due to having this huge diagonal with this bishop and this queen obviously attacking as well at the same time, this is what causes huge potential in creating attacks. Now that might just win a pawn. What you might be able to do there is soon just play knight moves here. Obviously this pawn, it wouldn't be really here. I'm just saying about how we can now cause attacks with these pieces as diagonals. The longer the range can be, the better, but if you think about it, the closer the range, the less pieces are to block. The further the range, the easier it is for pieces to block. So for example, when we was Frenchettoed, you know, there's all of these squares highlighted that were able to be blocked, whereas, you know, if our bishop was on c4, only these amount of squares could be blocked. So, you know, maybe it's 3 to 4 instead of like 6. So it's a huge amount of difference there. And again, that's what can cause a lot of trouble if you're further away, and you might have, as we've shown there, that whole idea here where everything gets blocked and you might not be able to do anything against it. So, just to summarize this video, open diagonals, how to use them. You've got to use them demandingly and efficiently. So you've got to make sure you actually use them, don't waste them, and kind of go against what, say, as we see here, black might not have the best diagonal. Let's say they just randomly played this and now they've blocked realistically them in. Now, we might be able to use that to our advantage because we got our bishops here. We now might be able to force them to make a retreat, for example, and we might be able to get, you know, a huge upside potential from this. So that is it for how to use diagonals and open diagonals. But the main thing I'd like to summarize in this video is having their pieces close your diagonal. You can always do something against it, and don't waste open diagonal space. Take it with advantage with your queen or your bishop. I would say don't do your queen so early, as we don't really like getting the queen out in the opening. But again, take this into your middle game and end games. Don't just use them in the openings as well. I just wanted to show this example as this is where every piece is on the board, so it makes it even easier for you to look, even when there's, you know, 32 pieces on the board. So it's easier to show you there. So hopefully you enjoyed today's video. That was episode 90 today. So thank you and bye bye.